In the grim darkness of the far future, the factions of Warhammer 40,000 have been in a deadlock for as long as we can remember. But what would it take for something to tip the scales in one's favor? We'll be going over each of the factions' endgame win conditions, their biggest obstacles to their goals, and how likely each of their endgames is to actually happen. We'll start with the youngest faction.
For the greater good.
The Tau are often seen as the underdogs of the setting, but they're actually one of the most dangerous factions in the long run. You see, while the Tau lack the numbers and are fairly naive compared to the other races, they are very intelligent and are one of the only factions that are completely unified in their goal, the greater good. Okay, mostly unified, alright? This unification and shared ideology allow the Tau to work together extremely efficiently, and this has led to their race developing new technology faster than any other faction in the current era. In just 6,000 years, the Tau went from the Stone Age to a spacefaring empire. To put that into a bit of perspective, it took humans 200,000 years to get to our shitty real-life civilization.
Well, hello, sweetheart. Are you lost?
And this is just the beginning for the Tau. We also know from real life that the rate of technological advancement is an exponential curve, meaning the Tau's tech will quickly outpace the other factions. Tau technology increases about 33 times faster than humans, which is truly terrifying and isn't something to underestimate. Okay, so how can the Tau actually win? Simple, bunker down and turtle. While the Tau are formidable, they are, at the moment, no match for the full might of any of the other major factions. But they don't have to be. The best move for them right now is to fortify their current borders, continue to convince other races to join the greater good, and keep developing their technology. Time is the greatest asset to the Tau. If they are given a few hundred or even another 1,000 years, they could very well start approaching the power of humanity during the dark age of technology. And if that happens, it's game over for everyone else. I would say though the likeliness for them to reach their endgame will be set to not likely. And the reason for this is because the Tau have two hard counters. If either of the next two factions get to their endgames first, then the Tau have no chance of surviving. The Tyranids' entire goal is pretty simple, to devour the galaxy of all life. Now, while that is their reason for invading the Milky Way galaxy, the Tyranids are much more cold and calculating than they first appear. The ground troops might be mindless, but the Tyranid hive minds are a completely different story. They think with logistics in mind. The Milky Way galaxy for us is the main setting, but for the Tyranids, our galaxy could simply be a stepping stone to dozens of other galaxies that they are planning to invade simultaneously. The core objective from the hive mind's perspective is not just to take over the galaxy, but to have gained more biomass than what they have lost during every battle. We've witnessed that Tyranids will outright ignore Necron planets or ones with no life on it. If the Tyranids continue to get pushed back and lose more biomass than they gain on a grand scale, two things can happen. Either more reinforcements come to quell the galaxy, or they could very possibly leave as the hive minds have been shown to cut their losses when they deem something is not worth their time. Our galaxy might just be too difficult of a meal for the Tyranids to handle. I'm going to put the Tyranids' endgame likeliness right down the middle. Until we know more information about how many Tyranids are really outside the galaxy, it's hard to lean towards either side. Now, there are two factions that the Tyranids hate, the first being Chaos. A lot of Chaos isn't made of flesh, but warp energy, so they lose biomass with every fight. However, this next faction is surprisingly a larger threat to both the Tyranids and the Tau.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
The Necrons can be easily considered one of the most powerful factions in the 40,000 era, but that's to be expected. They played a major role in the War in Heaven, rebelled against their own gods, and now store them in Pokeballs to do whatever they want. Their ability to revive the dead in necrodermis bodies make them very hard to kill. And yes, just like the others, they want to take over the galaxy, but they do have another goal that can be argued is more vital to them. The Silent King and a large portion of the Necrons want to recover their souls and flesh that were once devoured by the Catan. To actually accomplish this, they will need a host species that they can transfer their minds into, humanity being theorized as the prime candidate for that. How exactly they can do this? Well, the Silent King actually has a plan. From the Necron's 9th edition codex, it stated the Silent King plans to use the Pariah Nexus to cut the galaxy off from the warp entirely. Once completely cut off, all life in the galaxy will experience a sort of soul death from being disconnected from the warp, but are still technically alive. These vessels would then be the perfect candidates to experiment on to figure out how exactly they can reverse biotransference, if it's actually possible at all. But not every Necron dynasty wants to reverse biotransference. Amotech the Stormlord views the Necrons' metal bodies as superior to their flesh counterparts, and has a great disdain for the Silent King from his past failures. The Necron dynasties are very power hungry and willing to backstab each other, as each of them really acts as their own miniature empire. The Necrons really are their own worst enemy. If they were to ever become more unified or have more of their main forces wake up, the galaxy would be in true danger. I would argue the Necrons' endgame is extremely likely to happen, as it's just a matter of time, but actually reversing biotransference? Personally, I think that's impossible. It's just really hard for me to picture how exactly you can get your soul back from being devoured 60 million years ago. That's a tough one. Well, it's a good thing the next faction is easy. Oh, if you've enjoyed the video so far, please consider subscribing. Thanks.
Where's the fighting?
Unsurprisingly, orcs are pretty simple to understand. They want to crump or fight. With the tagline of the setting literally being "there is only war," honestly, the orcs don't have any long-term goals than just enjoying the fight in front of them. The orcs have already won, they're having a blast. Okay, but really though, what does their endgame look like? Orcs like fighting, but they want larger, ever more challenging battles until they reach a breaking point. That's why WoWs form after all. Now, what I'm about to say might sound counterintuitive, but stay with me. The endgame for orcs can only happen when every other faction's endgames have activated, or simply put, when every faction is at its most powerful. You see, the modern orcs of 40k are actually an extremely weak version of their ancestors, the Krork. Colossal, hyper-intelligent, and much stronger, they were able to handle the worst the War in Heaven had to throw at them. Orcs grow stronger or weaker depending on the scale of the conflict, and if every other race becomes stronger, so will the orcs. Because of that, the likeliness of their endgame coming online is 100%. Warhammer's conflicts will get worse, that's a guarantee, it just depends how long it takes to get there. Currently, the orcs are kept in check by the Imperium and a few other factions, but you can't be rid of them completely, they act more as pests. And just like with pests, if you let an infestation grow out of control, it might become too late to stop it. This next faction knows that all too well.
Alright, listen to me, you knife-eared piece of shit!
The Eldar are in a pretty bad state in the 41st millennium. Once they were the top dogs of the galaxy until their hubris brought the birth of Slaanesh. On top of their low birth rates and being under the constant shadow of Slaanesh, the Eldar are in danger of becoming extinct. Their endgame is to kill Slaanesh, free the trillions of Eldar souls that were consumed, and in so doing, allow those souls to be reincarnated to bring back the might of the Empire. But to kill a Chaos God, how? Enter Unid, the Eldar's god of the dead. While they haven't fully manifested yet, it is hypothesized that if Unid grows strong enough, they will fulfill their destiny of finally killing Slaanesh. There are two ways that this can happen. The first method requires the remainder of the Eldar race to be sacrificed and put their souls into the Infinity Circuits to give Unid enough strength to form, which, you know, is not ideal. The second method rests on the Ynnari, led by Yvraine, the emissary of Unid. Yvraine believes that she can summon Unid if they collect the 5 legendary Crone swords. Once all 5 are together, it will channel enough power for Unid to manifest that way. To top it off, they already have 4 of them, and they know the location of the last one. Sounds easy, just grab it, right? Can't be that bad. Where is the last one anyway? Oh yeah, it's in the deepest recesses of Slaanesh's domain that not a single person has ever survived to the end of. Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. Either way, the Eldar's only endgame lies with Unid. There isn't any other path to victory for them, but with that nigh impossible obstacle ahead of them, I can't really see how they can do this unless Slaanesh is weakened somehow before they invade their realm. I'm going to put this as very unlikely. As it stands, I don't see a way for them to reach their endgame unless something changes. However, the next faction is right on track to winning.
Chaos. Chaos will die. I can't fucking stand chaos. He pisses me off.
Wait a minute, I just thought of something. If the Eldar really believe they can get their souls back from Slaanesh, shouldn't it be possible for the Necrons to get them back from the Catan? I feel like it'd be harder to get them back from Slaanesh, so I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know, I'm a little flippy-floppy on this. Tell me in the comments.
I can smell chaos. I just shit my pants.
For the Eldar, even considering taking on one Chaos God is an impossible task, and there's 4 of them to contend with. Out of all the factions, Chaos is the one that is really steadily approaching their endgame as we speak. Every violent thought, every cunning plan, every evil emotion empowers them. For some races, it's fundamentally impossible to avoid this. They are linked to the very souls of sentient races. But what exactly does the endgame or ultimate victory look like for Chaos? What do they want? Well, that's a complicated question. We know at the very least that Chaos wants to continue infiltrating real space, expanding the Eye of Terra until it eclipses the entire galaxy, allowing the Chaos Gods to fully materialize in our reality, free of restraints. And after the fall of Cadia split the galaxy in two, they are closer to that than ever before. But let's say they do take over the galaxy, what then? Well, Chaos acts like a cancer, something that continues to grow and expand until there's nothing left of the host, that being the galaxy itself. There would be nowhere left for humanity, the Tau, Eldar, any of the races to escape to. Some, like the Warbearers, believe that this would actually be a good thing for humanity, that eventually humans would evolve to handle a warp-tainted universe, but I really don't think that's the answer. We've been shown time and again that Chaos warps even those that think they are somehow above its corruption. They wish to dominate and enslave everyone to their cause, no exceptions. No, instead, humanity would forever lose its ability to decide their own future. Even when Chaos wins, that doesn't mean the great game is over. Each of the gods will spend an eternity trying to overpower one another in a universe of their own design, a perpetual state of hellish turmoil with no end in sight. Truly, in my opinion, the bad ending to 40k, and as sad as it is, it's the most likely to happen. There are factions like the Necrons and Tyranids that are immune to Chaos influence, but even then, unless something drastically changes in the lore, this is the most likely fate of the galaxy. Unless, of course, this next faction turns things around. We all know that the Imperium is in a decline since its heyday. The Imperium isn't weak by any means, it's still one of the strongest factions in the setting, but it's a rotting husk full of bureaucracy, logistical issues, and needless suffering. Being the largest faction, their enemies surround them, slowly chipping away at their borders. The time they take to reclaim one planet, they lose 4 more. So, this begs the question, is there any way for the Imperium to truly win, to reclaim the galaxy for themselves? Well, yes, there is. While the Imperium has many problems to deal with, there is one impossible task that is the primary reason for its current downfall and probable extinction, and that's chaos. They fundamentally cannot be rid of it on their own. The only way for the Imperium to have a chance of surviving or even winning the great game is through the Emperor of Mankind's resurrection. Now, what do I mean by resurrection? Well, the books and lore have hinted at several different paths that could be taken for the Emperor of Mankind to return, but I'm going to go over the one I believe gives the Imperium both the best chance to win and what I think will become the most likely path. With the daily sacrifice of thousands of psychic humans and trillions that worship him as a god already, doesn't that sound exactly like the recipe to creating a new Chaos God? It's a very real possibility, as we've seen that anyone that interacts with the Emperor of Mankind on the Golden Throne realizes that he has become something else entirely. He heard all these at once. He did not hear them at all. The Emperor spoke and did not speak. The very idea of words seemed ridiculous. The concept of them, a grievous harm against the equilibrium of time and being. Such power made Lyriel's mind reel, and for a moment her contempt for the creatures of terror wavered. The mind of the Emperor was a mountain in a surging madness of the other sea, blinding in its brilliance. It's been theorized that on the Emperor's death, all the souls he's consumed, and with worshippers across all planets, that a god will be born, but not one of evil, but one for humanity, the Anathema, as he is so called by the other gods. With his newfound powers and freedom from the Golden Throne, I don't think it's a stretch to say that in this new form, he could continue to keep the Astronomicon going, and can even close the webway portal that Chaos has been trying to use to invade Holy Terra these past millennia. To go a step further with this, the Emperor in his new form could finally continue building his webway project, to give humanity the final answer to defeating Chaos by separating themselves from the warp's influence. With humanity no longer giving Chaos its power, this would heavily weaken them for the Emperor to deal the killing blow, ending Chaos's reign over the galaxy. This assumes, of course, that everything actually goes to plan. It's speculation on top of speculation, and there are a million different ways that this could go badly. He could become evil during all this, or the fact that GW very recently added lore that makes it seem like resurrecting the Emperor is a bad idea, but I don't know, it's worded really weirdly. I'm not a fan of it. But how likely is it for the Imperium to actually reach an endgame state and make it out the other side as a victor? I would say with full confidence, yeah, no, they have no chance. I mean, come on, when Gilman woke up and saw what the Imperium had become, he wanted to give up. That's how bad the situation is. The Imperium has 1,000,001 other problems that they have to deal with first before they can even consider resurrecting the Emperor. But yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts and if you have some interesting theories as well. If you had fun with my lore rambling, subscribe for more of my stupid opinions. Thanks for watching.